SAFM, South Africa's news and information leader.
In the top stories, ZCC bus accident victim critical in hospital and alleged rhino poacher hands himself over to police. Good afternoon, I'm Tracy Baumgard. The Limpopo Health Department says one of the survivors of the bus crash transporting ZCC members on the N1 near Polokwane is still in a serious condition. Spokesperson Joe Mayela says 8 other passengers are still in the Polokwane Provincial Hospital. The Zionist Christian Church members were travelling in a bus belonging to the Olympic Bus Liner Company when it overturned yesterday after the driver hit a bridge barrier. They were on their way from Bulawayo in Zimbabwe to KwaZulu-Natal after a church service. 37 other passengers have already been discharged from 3 local hospitals. Mayela explains.
Well, there are still about 9 patients in our Polokwane hospital because we have transferred one from Mankweng and one from Sishio into this hospital. 6 of them are just under observation. 2 are going to undergo minor operations because of the little fractures they have. But one of them is still under the watchful eye of our medical professionals because this one has suffered multiple injuries. And
clients of ABSA, African Bank, FNB, Nedbank and Standard Bank will in future have to give their fingerprints when doing business inside banks to verify their identity. These banks are at various phases of implementing the new online fingerprint verification system. The system was launched in Pretoria by the Department of Home Affairs and the South African Banking Risk Information Centre, SABRIC, today. The department will verify the fingerprints taken by a device in the bank. Home Affairs Minister Nkosazana Dlamini Zuma says the process will take about 4 seconds and is a simple and effective tool to wage war against fraud and corruption.
The launch of the online verification system by Home Affairs and the partners in SABRIC will lay a basis for us jointly to deal a massive and decisive blow against acts of fraud, corruption that have cost our financial and banking institutions millions.
A 3rd suspect has handed himself over to police in connection with rhino poaching. Marina Stale appeared in the Kempton Park Regional Court together with a Thai national, Chomlong Lamtongchai, on charges of illegal trade in rhino products. The court has ordered Stale to pay 100,000 rand bail. Abongile DeMarco reports.
The court was packed to capacity with the media showing much interest in the case. Marina Stale, a suspect who handed himself to the police today, has applied for bail and has not been opposed by the court. His lawyer says at the moment he is in an emotional state but will be at liberty to pay the 1,000 rand bail. On the other hand, Chomlong Lamtongai will remain in custody until he appears again on the 20th of January 2012. He is suspected to be the mastermind behind the rhino poaching syndicate. More arrests are expected to be made soon. Abongile Tumago, SABC News, Kempton Park Regional Court.
South Africa's interest rate is too low and inflation too high to encourage economic growth. Economist Chris Hart told an Investment Solutions breakfast this morning, policy makers have forgotten that savings is a critical part of driving economic growth. He said South Africa's repo rate of 5.5% was too low to encourage growth. At the same time, the inflation rate of 5.7% was too high to make savings worthwhile. Investors needed to be compensated for inflation and time when saving. He said low interest rates in the developed world, some as low as 0%, were counterproductive to growth. Hart predicted that the South African Reserve Bank would not respond to the threat of rising inflation, but would look at growth. For this reason, it would keep the interest rate unchanged for the whole of next year. Parliament's Communication Committee has shortlisted 6 candidates to fill a vacant position on the SABC board. The position became vacant when Peter Harris resigned. The interviews are to be held on Thursday. The shortlisted candidates are Ntabiseng Petunia Samba, Dennis Lill, Kenneth Herold, Professor Sadhasivan Perumal, Lionel Ricardo Eidendorf and Tami Kaplaiki. The Garsfontein police in Pretoria are investigating a case of murder following the fatal shooting of a 25-year-old woman on Manitoba Drive in Ferryglen this morning. According to police spokesperson Dwayne Lightfoot, witnesses told police they heard several shots and later saw the woman's car veer off the road and crash into the pavement. He says the woman apparently had just dropped off her child at school when she was shot.
The police of Garsfontein will be investigating a case of murder because, this is sensitive. We're really going to try our utmost best to try and establish the reason for this killing. There are still policemen on the scene. They are trying to gather more information, and the information will hopefully soon prove what has happened or try at least give us an idea.
Top story at 1 o'clock. The Limpopo Health Department says one of the survivors of the bus crash transporting ZCC members on the N1 near Polokwane is still in a serious condition.